Hey there, Internet. If you haven't heard, there are no political arguments anymore, just name-calling. And if you disagree with me, you're a racist. See, this is like the game I Win. If you haven't seen Big Daddy, go watch it now. I'll give you a little clip right here.
What are your cards?
I got a 6, a 5, a jack, a 4, and a 8. I win.
What do you mean you win? I had a hand just like that before. I didn't win.
Because I win.
This is bullshit!
Alright, take it easy, man.
Every time it's different cards, you still win.
That's adorable, right? See, the difference is, it's adorable when this kid does it. It's ridiculous when adults do it. The worrisome thing is that these adults are getting away with using ad hominem fallacies because their audience is too lazy or too foolish to know better. We've entered this strange world where the logic, if you would call it that, used by people like this is acceptably solid. We found a witch, may we burn her? How do you know she's a witch? She looks like one. I'm not a witch, I'm not a witch. But you are dressed as one. They dressed me up like this, and this isn't my nose, it's a false one. Well, we did do the hat. And the nose. But she's got a wart. What makes you think she's a witch? Well, she turned me into a newt. You got better. Now you see, if you're watching this video, though, it's, I think, safe to assume that you have at least a basic understanding of logic, and you recognize why someone calling someone a witch because she looks like one, because we put stuff on her to look like one, I'm sure you understand why that doesn't compute. It's like saying A plus B equals purple because cats. That doesn't actually add up. But many people these days on the left, and especially the regressive leftists, are applying this same sort of broken logic to all of their arguments, to all of their concepts about policy and human nature and society and government and everything. Here are some common themes, and I'd say stop me if you've heard these, but it's a video, so you'll keep watching. So let's name off a few that I'm sure you've seen. If you want a wall between one country and another, you're a racist. If you don't like paying for other people's lifestyles, you're a racist. If you disagree with me, you're a racist. If you think that men and women are paid fairly, you're a sexist and probably a racist. If you think it's a bad thing that people in Sweden are being forced to have non-consensual surprise sex, then you're an Islamophobic. If you're proud to be an American, you're a xenophobic. If you are heterosexual, you are homophobic. If you understand science, you are transphobic. I could go on. You've seen people use these themes. You've seen people use similar ones. So what is there to be done? How do you defeat it? You don't. Never debate a leftist with the intent of convincing the leftist. Use their argument to highlight the idiocy of the left to all those middle ground, undecided, unsure people who are watching. I'll give you an example. Recently, someone asked on Facebook if a country should have a national language. Now, I know this guy. I know he's not asking this question honestly, but rather to get a response. But since I was bored and I figured, let's do this. It's not like I hate arguing. So I answered very simply yes. I am a literalist, after all. But in a subthread, he asked this follow-on question: how do you decide the language? And to this I answered, when people come together to form a nation, they tend to write documents to do so, and they write those documents in the de facto national language. But he answered this by saying, but today the most spoken language in America is Spanish. Now you can see where he's going with this. And so he continues, so the official language should be that. Don't you love when they just hand you presents like that? I mean, this is incorrect, as you can see here. He's just making it up. But let's take a moment to go over this. His premises can be broken down as follows. He starts with an implied premise that the most commonly spoken language should be the national language. And then he gives his stated premise that Spanish is the most spoken language. And so he leads out his conclusion that Spanish should be the national language. Now, we've already seen where his implied premise is factually incorrect. But think of the inconsistency here. When I showed him that English is the most spoken language in the US by a large margin, he should have taken that as the new stated premise. Taken that into account with his implied premise that the most spoken language should be the national language, and then concluded that English should be the national language. Now, that's not my argument, but it is his argument, and given the facts that exist, that are real, that should have been his conclusion. Did he change his mind? Of course not. And here's why he didn't. His comment after that was, "You're arguing with someone that doesn't care either way. I'll always be on the side of my people, no matter any other person's point of view." So you see, it's never about logically proving a point. It's never about rational, reasonable discussion. None of those things. And since I pushed him on it, that's when the racist comment comes out. That's racist sort of thing. You'll remember from earlier videos that the easiest way to know that you've effectively won an argument is when they call you names. And that's what the left has been doing. They don't have rational, reasonable, sensible reasons for thinking the things that they think. And since they can't connect their feelings with the things they want in a logical way, since their reasons for thinking things falls apart as soon as you subject them to any kind of criticism, they've stopped relying on logic altogether.
When are we going to learn? The left have given up putting any argument across at all, to the point where Clinton is considered left.
Today's left is saying they're wrong because they're racist. They're racist because they fit my definition of racist. They fit my definition of racist because I redefined racist to mean anyone that disagrees with me. And by the way, they disagree with me because they're racist. Now, this has been their MO for a little while now. For quite some time, it's been effective. People have been self-censoring instead of being called a racist, because you know that if it's true, that's one of the worst things you can be called. But instead of being inaccurately called a racist, people would just stop saying what they thought, the truth that they knew. And ever since President Trump took office, the leftists have realized that it was no longer working. They figured out, and I'm almost proud of them for this, that calling their opponents racist, sexist, bigot, homophobes did not, after all, stop their opponents from voting against them.
Not everyone that voted for Trump is a sexist or a racist. Some of them are, but most aren't. Most people didn't vote for her, not because she's a woman. They didn't vote for her because she offered no palpable change whatsoever. Same old shit.
So they've begun a new strategy. And that strategy is don't allow opponents to say the logical things, which destroy leftist arguments. We see this being actively supported by leftist, fascist mayor of Berkeley, Jesse Arreguin. He has put a stand-down order on the police in Berkeley in order to allow violent leftist fascist group Antifa, which seems to stand for anti-freedom of assembly. So what's the solution? You've got the silly, childish, circular logic version of the leftist, who calls you a racist when you show how stupid their argument is. And you've got the immoral, violent, brown shirt fascist version of the leftist that threatens people's lives so that you won't show how stupid their argument is. What are we to do? The answer is simple. Speak, write, converse. You see, this isn't some half and half situation where like half the world is regressive leftist and the other half is anarcho-capitalist or something like that. Most of us are much closer to the middle than to either of the extremes. So it's your duty to converse with and attempt to convince as many of those middle ground, rational but left-leaning people that individual liberty and individual responsibility are the keys to collective well-being, rather than centralized control and this farce of social justice. Keep speaking. Never stop conversing. As you can see from Antifa's actions at Berkeley, free speech is the most dangerous thing to them. And as for the bigoteers on Facebook and Twitter and everywhere else that think that it's effective to call people racist, bigot, sexist, homophobe, well, their methods are only as effective as you let them be. Don't ignore them. Just ignore their baseless accusations and their made-up definitions. Engage with them and use their ridiculous rhetoric to help nudge the rational people in the right direction. So this is the part where I ask you what you think. But today I want to have you look through your Facebook and your Twitter feeds or your Minds feed and find the funniest or most ridiculous ad hominem attack you can find and post it in the comments below. I think we'll all enjoy reading them, and I think we can learn. By the way, you can catch me on Twitter and Minds at MichaelBsog, and check out the written version of these videos at my blog on www.michaelbsog.com. And if you're wondering what BSOG, or B-S-O-G, means, good for you. I'll give you a hint if I ever reach 100 subscribers. If you like this video, go ahead and smash that thumbs up below. If you're new here, click that subscribe button. And don't forget to leave a comment below and share this video with your friends and enemies alike. Remember, if you don't share, the terrorists win. Be safe, and I'll see you soon.